All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Car Talk, where we discuss everything in our car community and culture and industry. I'm your host, Big Mike, right here with
Ryan Bossery from Rywire.
And you know what? Ryan was like, I want to discuss a subject. And as soon as he said it, I was like, it's perfect, not just for the application of there's events going on right now that like kind of trigger that, but it's just kind of this universal topic that is applicable to all of us, and that would be car etiquette. Right? The etiquette of how to act
when you're around and present of a vehicle that's not yours.
That's not yours. Because how you act around your car or how you treat your car. Like, have you seen these reels or TikToks of people who are doing the thing about how I just got my car ceramic coated and the water just bounces right off and they're throwing a water bottle at their car? Have you seen that?
No, but I can only imagine.
So it's this audio of something, and it's like, hey, they're making these reels out of it, these talks, and they're like, the audio is like, I just got my car ceramic coated and the water just bounces right off. And then there's a full-blown water bottle that they just throw at their car.
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, on the paint. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's your car.
Yeah. And is ceramic coating dent resistant?
No. But it's just they want, someone was like, it would be funny. And honestly, if your car's beat up, it probably was super funny. It kind of still is, but when you see a car that, at least in that video, it appears to have a respectable paint job, and they're throwing, like, physically throwing a water bottle.
Yeah, that's like...
It's like, come on, guy. But it's your car?
Do what you want.
Well, hopefully. Hopefully they're not in a parking lot.
Or they get enough hits on the video that they can monetize off of it and pay for it.
True.
Maybe that's their logic. I don't know.
So Ryan's like, yo, I want to talk about car etiquette, and I'm just like, I'm absolutely with it. I feel like that's one of those ones that would have like organically come about anyways, but Ryan was like, let's do it. So, Ryan, what prompted the necessity of addressing car etiquette?
Well, Monterey Week is definitely one thing.
Monterey Car Week.
Because, Monterey Car Week was this past week.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we're going to exactly air this, but let's just say, it was last week.
Yeah.
So it kind of like was fresh in my mind. Also had a little situation over the weekend that we don't necessarily need to talk about on this one.
Okay.
Or we could.
Yeah.
But both of those little things like prompted it, because I saw some people post some stuff about at Car Week, people treating, like trying to open doors of, I don't know if these cars are potentially at auction,
right,
or they're at shows, etc. But people are opening doors or trying to open doors, sitting in cars that are not theirs, that I guess these people think are owned by like dealerships or something and not private parties.
Not that it should matter. Not that it should matter if it is like some billionaire dude's car or not. But by the way, if you are unfamiliar with Monterey Car Week, these are not regular people's cars. These
Correct.
are very, very high-end, rare, expensive hyper supercars, etc. But conceptually, that's not what matters.
Right.
I wouldn't reach over and open I don't know, some extravagant restored Aston Martin from the 60s. I wouldn't go and open that guy's door just as much as I wouldn't open a man's Civic door. You just don't do that.
It doesn't matter. The car or the condition of the car doesn't matter.
Correct.
It's just the etiquette surrounding it not being yours.
Right. So at Monterey Car Week, you're talking about people going up to these hyper rare, super ultra whatever cars and just getting in them.
Right.
It's like okay, it's the same thing as who does that? Like, whether it's on a rotating platform with lights and lasers pointed at it,
right,
or it's just sitting in the parking lot. Like, who What self-respecting person just goes up to another human being's car and just tries to get in it? Or not tries to, gets in it.
Gets into it, yeah.
Or what about they're not even thinking? I've seen this myself where they're going like full speed muscle memory to open the door, thinking, first of all, why are you doing that? Second of all, I'm glad that it was locked. But like the sound of like the boom,
and it doesn't,
and because they're trying to open it full speed and it doesn't, and I'm just like, that's what a door handle is made to do. Probably nothing happened, but I'm like, oh my gosh.
The fingernails underneath the paint, the slapping down on it, like all these things are just like, oh, that's
and none of it should have happened because you shouldn't have been going to open. And if you were, some amount of respect, like a regular open, not like you're, just blah, And so, Ryan brings up Monterey Car Week, and it's an amazing thing because you'll have cars that I think universally no self-respecting person, like if you look at a car and you don't even know what it is, then there's something about like car guys, it's gonna click as, I don't even know what that is, which because I don't know what that is, it's has to be rare. Yeah. It's gotta be rare, it's gotta be expensive, so I'm just like not going to lean on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just touch it. Stay the F away from it.
Touch it. Okay. Etiquette of touching. We're talking about people leaning on it. We're talking about people trying to open it or not trying to open it and just sitting in it. Forget all that, because to me that's like a violation on a level that's like way beyond.
Yeah, like what in school we learned personal space, right?
What about just like, oh, look, paint, and then like, who does, like, you've never felt paint before? Why do you think it's okay to take your little rough ass fingers and just touch a person's paint job? I've seen that all over the place. A lot of time, yeah. Right, like in 2021, we all know what carbon fiber is.
Yeah. So and like you don't have to write "wash me" on every single person's dusty car.
Correct.
Like,
and it's like, you know what carbon fiber is, so like it doesn't matter if it's an elaborate carbon fiber wing that's on a person's Honda, or if it's a car whose body is made of carbon fiber. Yeah. Doing this is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay? Dry carbon, wet carbon, forged carbon, it doesn't matter. Like
honeycomb carbon, orange carbon.
When I see people doing this, they're like, wow. And I'm like, why? Yeah. What are you doing? Like, every one of you guys have to have stories. Whether it be your car or you have witnessed something that we're talking about. And I want you guys to put it in the comments, because I know that some of you are like raging with us right now, just off the principle. So hopefully it didn't even happen to any of your cars. But I mean, you said the incident that happened this weekend. Like, do you want to like change a couple pieces of it for anonymity's sake?
Actually, you know what I want to do?
Okay.
I want to tell a story that was like really hard hitting for me.
Okay.
And I want to give a little background. You were there.
Okay.
Okay. This was at an event we did at K1.
Yeah.
We did an event at K1. I was asked to bring not my car, but my friend customer Angel's car.
Oh yeah.
So the Mugen body kit,
the wide body. I was about to say this one, but we switched blacks right now.
Not there. But yeah. Okay, so this car is not mine. The body was custom made with Cody, and it was on top of a Mugen body kit that way back then was worth $10,000.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what that shit's worth now? Okay. Yeah. The car is worth a lot of money.
Yes.
All right. And the body was not like, oh, I bought a body kit and I put it on the car.
Right.
This was a handmade.
It's handmade, one-off, Mugen-based, hand-formed wide body. It's not your run-of-the-mill car.
No.
But even if it were. Anyways, go ahead.
So, we're at this event, and it ended up being not what we expected. Right?
Right.
There was a lot of kids there, and they were all influencers.
Right. This was... to be specific but keep it general, it was a online influencer circle of people, and Ryan and I, in our own ways, know certain people, but our numbers are like tiny fractions compared to these people.
Yeah.
You're seeing the YouTube makeup artist kids, and the I think this is pre TikTok, but I'm pretty sure some of those people were like the prankster ones that like did crazy pranks. These people are by numbers. These kids are super famous, right? And we are car guys, and because of certain people there who are also car people,
they were like, "Hey, can you guys come and bring a car?
Just be a part of it and bring the car." So I roll with Ryan, and at that time it was the handmade Mugen based Cody Sawwide, S2000. Sorry, go ahead.
So we're at that event and park it, and they assured me, you're gonna be right in front, whatever. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's fine. They assured me that they were gonna have security there,
right?
And I'm like, great. It's not my car. I made sure I let everybody know.
Yeah.
This is not my vehicle. I really want to make sure that it's safe. Like, no problem. We're gonna have security. We're probably even gonna like put a rope around it or something like that.
Yes.
I'm like, great, awesome. That's preferred, right? So, kind of, people started showing up. And there's a lot of people that started coming. Right?
Yes. It got very busy.
It was very busy. There was a lot of people. People wanted to see all these influencers, and people wanted to race at K1. There was alcohol involved. I remember.
Right.
I think I even had a drink or two.
Yeah.
Right. So there was kind of like an adult section where they had open bar for us.
Right.
And also food, like open food. Yeah. And there was a lot. Remember all the candy?
Yeah, it was interesting.
At any rate, it was interesting. Like, I'm trying to give you a little bit of a vibe here.
Right.
So it's this like K1 karting experience, extravaganza, crazy with alcohol involved.
Yeah,
right?
And candy.
So for the kids and alcohol for the adults.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. So I remember coming back out to the car, and I was like, man, there's a lot of people around the car. And people are not giving it that respect of the distance thing. So I say, I gotta stand here for a little bit. I gotta watch what's going on and make sure everything is okay, because the car's not roped off, and I believe that the person that was supposed to be like, taking care of everything was like doing the door, and they weren't necessarily like focusing on the cars.
Right.
Because I guess there was like a lot of people trying to get in, and there was probably like younger people trying to get in that shouldn't have been. So I didn't have any security at the car, so I ended up having to be the security essentially. I remember that there was some people there that we knew, and that was kind of cool. We even met some people. It was a decent experience. It was actually a good night. But I don't remember if it was the first situation that happened, but I remember that the S2000 has really wide fenders.
Yep.
And there was this tall, lanky dude.
Okay.
Decided to literally use the entire fender as a seat.
Okay. You guys, that's not an exaggeration. It wasn't like 10% body weight where you're like standing and like slightly leaned up. It is, I am going to sit down with my fucking rear.
Like sitting how I am right now. I don't think that he was wearing
because he was tall. S2000's
but...
low. It's good out. It's a good look. Tall dude. S2000's low. The fender's like the right
height for his butt,
and the dude just sat down. Literally.
Yeah.
And I'm with Ryan, and he sees it like a hawk before I do. And I was like, oh, we're going to fight some like 20, 18-year-old dudes right now. Because, when Ryan gets mad, especially when it's understandable, I'm like, all right, well, this shit's about to pop the fuck off, and I'm with it. I'm totally with it.
So I remember grabbing the kid's arm, and like
he really did though. He was like,
I just grabbed his arm like as hard as I could, and I just lifted him off of the car.
Yes.
And I don't know if I like gave him a little nudge or not.
You
but
did.
I made sure that he was not any longer sitting on the fender.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't think he gave me too much attitude.
No, especially for you physically,
almost assaulting him.
Yeah. He didn't. I think if the way I remember it, he reacted in a relatively like understandable way. I mean, he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing at all. Like, where does one's mind decide that you're gonna sit on a fucking person's car? But anyways. he could have totally turned around and like swung at Ryan or yelled or whatever, but he was like a little like, "Hey, what the fuck?" And Ryan, you explained it to him in an abrasive fashion.
Yeah.
But you were
Whatever
just like,
I said,
yeah,
and
basically
it was
said something like,
facts.
"Don't fucking sit on the car," and the guy was like, "Oh, well, my bad." And he totally could have been douchier, but I remember him not being that douchey about
Yeah,
it
he
at
was
all.
kind of like, well,
And
he
his
called me
friends
out
are
on it.
pretty silent about it.
Yeah, his friends, I just remember, just were like,
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, then it had to have been, I don't know, 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Then I got this chick that walks over with, hair all did, like all fucking accessorized.
Okay.
And then her purse was no different. Accessorized purse. I'm talking,
dangling tassels
hard doohickeys tasseling off the bottom of the purse, right? And she literally walks over like it's her car, and she's just gonna set her bag straight on the trunk. Like straight up.
You guys, that also really did happen just like that.
Like
just
minutes later.
On the person's car, which is anyone's car but yours. It happened to be a custom made, freshly painted,
I don't own,
white S2000, and she just put her bag on the trunk, which has a custom wing on it and all that. Anyways, and Ryan like lost his shit.
I lost my shit again, right?
Which is it understandable? Be honest. Would you guys say, "Hey, that's not your car," or do you even know whose car it is, or what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, do you know how much the money that car cost? I didn't say any.
He didn't say any.
I'm never gonna say anything like that.
Right.
It's just the respect of it not being yours. I mean, I've said stuff to people before. Is that your car?
Right.
Stuff like that. Not like that car is worth this much money.
It's more just like trying to see where their mind is.
Yeah, I want to know, like, legitimately, like, what is wrong with your head?
What is wrong with your head?
Why do I see one thing one way and then you see something completely different?
So this particular situation was not a car event. So this is me just trying to be like...
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like that the people that invited me to this event sort of kind of knew that, and they sort of kind of... Probably the reason why they hired...
they did, because they did hire somebody.
They hired people... They hired someone that was supposed to... Yeah, that was the thing. And there was also about 4 cars there that were all having their own little bits of problems.
Right. That... What year was that? 17?
Probably like 17.
Something like 17. Etiquette. We're talking about the most fundamental right now. Like, not sitting on another person's car. Not putting your, in this case, a purse, just, I don't want to hold my own bag anymore, and I don't want to put it on the ground, so I'm going to just put it on someone's car. I find that kind of thing to be fascinating because, we're talking about influencers and pranks and stuff. And there's a couple that I've seen over the years of a dude, I don't know if this was his specialty, like nothing but car pranks. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this, where he like starts to use a person's wing on their like car as a tray. Yeah, he's eating on it. And like putting your plate on it's one thing, but like a can of soda and a plate, and then at one point like he had like pizza and it was just straight on the person's wing. And
is this like a newer one?
You know what? I'm sure
I saw somebody had like chocolate and all this mess.
Totally could have been a rehash.
Sure.
But that I remember this from before.
Yeah.
And it's like I always wondered if that dude just got beat up like by somebody. Because there are people, and I'm sure you guys listening and watching are probably like, if I walked up from anywhere and I saw a stranger with a plate of food on the wing or trunk of my car, you probably want to just knock them out, right?
That would be my first instinct, probably.
Right? To just snatch them up by their neck or something. And it's like, I guess the joke is always like the violence part, right? Like we're joking. But yet, like, there's a part of any man, woman who's watching this who it's like a joke, but you're like, no, I think that if I saw that, I would lose it. I guess the question is, have any of you guys ever actually gotten into a physical altercation because you saw somebody disrespecting a car. Was it your car? Was it your friend's car? Was it a stranger's car? And you were just so off put by their behavior. Really, really interested to know, because, of course, everyone will say in hindsight, man, it's not worth getting into like something physical because you get arrested or you whatever, someone could hurt you.
In the moment.
But in the
like,
moment,
is anybody?
Because it's a respect thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you're the type that gets fired up, then you get fired up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I am sometimes the type to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, but it, like, I don't know that I could have. I didn't finish the story yet, but I don't think that I could have done much differently in that situation.
Well, I remember, that when you grab the dude, it's just a matter of who that person is.
Yeah, because that could have provoked something a lot more
Sure.
crazy.
It could have been totally crazier. Just off of instinct, they could have just swung.
Yeah.
Just right off of that part.
Yeah.
And never even know that it was about the car.
Yeah.
Just some dude's grabbing my
grabbed
arm.
me.
And Ryan wasn't grabbing it gently. It was to prove a point / physically remove the dude.
Yeah.
And so it's like the dude, he could have totally been, he might have been a YouTuber who teaches fucking MMA. And he could have armbarred Ryan or something, and then I would have had to just like start stomping him in the head, like, because you know, like, I'm not about violence for no reason, but if there's a reason, sometimes that's just how that shit goes, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how I acted with the girl.
That's what I was going to say, because I remember the purse, but I don't remember the way it all ended.
Yeah, I kind of don't either, because I guess it wasn't as significant.
It couldn't have been that major. She might have just taken it and moved on.
Yeah, I might have just said, hell no, and she's like, looked at me and I don't remember what exactly happened. But I do remember that and then shortly after that, there was a third problem.
Okay.
And that was the guy touching the paint.
Right.
So basically what you described the guy did. He used his finger, he did the whole thing like that, and I said I probably was honestly pissed off at that point in time, because this is the third now in like 8 minutes that something has happened. I said, don't do that, don't touch the paint.
Yeah.
I might have even been an asshole and said, is that your car?
Right.
I'm not really sure. I don't remember what happened. But I do remember that he said, oh, you mean like this? And he started rubbing at it.
You guys, what would you have done if you see a person, whether it's your car or friends or whatever, if you see a person touching the paint and you're just like, hey, don't do that, and then they're like, oh, you mean like this? Like, oh my God,
And then I remember his wife getting in my face.
Yes.
He got in my face.
Yes.
Then it was you came up, and then also one of the Hoonigan guys, one of the old school Hoonigan guys.
Right.
He came up.
Because that shit was going to go down.
And he was a big dude.
Yeah.
And I remember that the dude that did this whole thing was not a big dude.
No.
He was more of like our size dudes. Okay? And I remember all that. And I remember that it got a little crazy.
Yes.
And then I remember literally going, who do I talk to?
It's time to go.
To get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. Yep, I remember.
And I remember just going like...
There's too many things. Too many instances. And that situation, if that dude had a little bit too much at the open bar, honestly, dude, Ryan's not like some kind of like violent person. And I'm not saying I'm one either. But I mean, I know how to hit somebody. And I've been hit. So I'm all for it. That situation, I thought was actually going to turn into like an actual physical
that was like
fight.
strike 3, right? Like that was like, okay.
Dude, it could have been the first event that night. It was his attitude. I don't know if it's because he's with his lady and he just wanted to show off. He might just be a douchebag in general.
Or he had some drinks and he just in his mind thought...
Can you imagine...
it wasn't a big deal or something.
Yeah, the finger thing, why are you... and I mean, not that it matters, it's white. It's not some, like, I've never seen this color before. And even if you had, I've never understood why people... It's not Braille. Paint is not Braille, okay? Yeah. You don't need to fucking touch it to understand it, okay?
And it's not, like, crazy deep paint. It's just white.
and he was doing it, and Ryan said that, and the guy's like, oh, you like this? And fuck, dude. And I was on the other side of the car when Ryan went at him, and he got in, and I came over because that shit is not going down. Like, if he had even put a hand up, he was gonna get snuffed, man.
Yeah, because there was actually at that point we had kind of like found people that we were hanging out with. There was a lot of people like on our little, you know.
Can you imagine, like, you know, so his wife seemed like a ride or die for him.
Yeah, she was fucking mad.
She got all fucking offended at Ryan, and she got in his face. And the question for you guys is I mean, this is starting to get away from car etiquette, but I'm actually genuinely interested. Imagine the scenario, and the dude's girlfriend gets in your face.
Yeah.
I just want to know, be honest in the comments. Would you have just been like, hey, get away from me? Would you have, like, would you be like my girlfriend and you call your girlfriend and then let the girls fight each other? Would you have been like, girl, if you don't get out my face, I want to fucking judo chop you in the side of the neck? Like, I just want to know, honestly, you guys, you are somewhere, you're already pissed off, and you see somebody touching the paint of, let's say, your car. And you're like, hey, don't touch the paint. And they're like, oh, like this? And they run their palm all over the car. What do you do? And then if the dude's girlfriend comes and starts talking shit to you.
In your face,
what do you do? In the comments, be honest. If you're like, yo, I'm going to jail tonight for hitting a man and a woman, I just want to know. Or if you're just like, it's not worth it. I really want to know, right? I want to know what you guys would do in that situation. Be honest. Now, when we come back, we got a couple more instances where we discuss car etiquette, and I'm very interested to know what you guys think, and I'm also interested to know if any of you guys, if you don't want to put it in the comments, I understand that. I just want to know if any of you guys have ever been those people that apparently like to steal shift knobs. Okay? Because at SEMA, for example, they literally take off the shift knobs. Because in a closed industry-only automotive event, it has still gotten to the point where people have stolen so many shift knobs that the OEs have to take those types of things off. Which is really fucking sad.
That's terrible.
At a place like SEMA, which
where
is,
you literally
it's not
have to have
strangers, but it's closed.
You have to be automotive industry.
You are there because you are
and you're representing a company,
some company
you work at,
and there have been enough thefts that the OEs have to go in there and spin off shift knobs. I mean, it's so sad. And I just want to know if you're one of those people with a burner account where your thumbnail is like the default image and there's no name and your name's like John Doe and you just want to say, I just want to know if you've done that. Are any of you guys the people who have a shift knob collection from like OEM cars?
And if you like stole the shift knob, did it even fit your car? And do you like it even?
Or was it just like, are you just a klepto and you just wanted to spin it off? I just want to know, okay? So right now, during the break, put that in the comments, okay? And we'll see you in a moment.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan from Rywire here, and today I have something really, really cool to show you. What I want to show you guys is that nothing that I'm doing here is so far-fetched that you guys can't do it at home. We don't have any CNC, there's no 5-axis machine here. I'm literally just using my brain and hand tools to get a really, really cool project done. Even in the most basic conditions, a beautiful outcome can arise.
Think Bigger podcast. This is a branch of the Think Bigger project that is a brand and a movement and an ideology that was created to better the community and the culture around it. How you behave in your relationships, how you build a car, how you do anything comes from the way that you think. And if you can start there, then everything else will follow. All right, you guys, welcome back. We are talking about car etiquette. And if you, as one of the Car Talk supporters and listeners, are a current or a recovering kleptomaniac, okay? because Somebody is one of the people who has stolen thousands of shift knobs.
There's like one guy out there that just takes all of them from the dealership.
Somebody knows. Like, if did you do it at a dealership? Did you like a Type R or like a 99 2000 EM1 SI? Like, somebody watching is like, I am not even remotely proud of this, but I've taken a shift knob or something. Or maybe you currently still try to do that whenever you can. Or maybe you
like visited Japan and you were like, I'm going to try to steal as many shift knobs as it takes to pay for my flight home.
Okay.
I don't know.
People with a plan. We were, on the break, we were talking about SEMA and how even at a place like SEMA where everyone there is a car person, everyone there is part of the automotive industry in a very literal way, and they have to take those types of things off and be careful because people are just stealing shit. So is there just like a larger percentage of the population that are just straight up kleptos? That no one's really talking about it? Yeah. Did we just kind of shine the light on like a low-key, like,
underground like operation?
Yeah. Or is it just one of those things that, like, you were young and you did it once or twice or something? But etiquette, it's a joke. We're making a joke of it now, but just general spacing. Like, even if your zipper and keys in your pocket and denim or whatever, even if you're not actually touching, I think the lack of spatial awareness is either going to lead to you making physical contact, or it just comes across as very disrespectful. Like, whatever kind of car it is, it means so little to you that you're not even trying to give it space. And I think maybe is it an age thing? Is it a boomer thing? Are we just boomers?
Or have you had similar experiences I have and then realized, okay, this is how you should now act?
You know what? I mean, I'm one of those people that thinks that sometimes a situation needs to happen. And it's so easy to say violence is not the answer. And I mean, it isn't. But at the same time, I'm also very open-minded, because if there are no consequences to actions of any type, principally, philosophically, if there are no consequences, then where and why would people not do certain things?
Right.
I think that there should be consequences.
It sounds like a good lead into a story that you might have, Mike.
I've had more than a couple instances. You were mentioning off camera, Ryan was recalling this incident at SEMA where he had to address a person who was undoing his Wiggins clamp. Now, I have the same situation with my Wiggins and also my Vibrant HD clamps. Mm-hmm. And then even before the HD clamps, there was the Van Gen clamps, right? For those of you that might know the difference. But the point is that there are people who, Ryan's experienced it and I've experienced it, who, are they trying to steal the clamshell? I don't know. I don't think so. But you're still violating 10 steps and rules before you even get to that point, because you are reaching into the engine bay. You're spinning it.
Yeah.
And then you're unhooking it.
Yeah. The guy probably was just trying to figure out how it worked.
Okay.
But still, like...
Why would you reach into a man's engine bay?
And then when you take it off, then what do? Do you
let
it drop on the ground?
Yeah.
Do you put it on the windshield cowl? Yeah. Do you try to find the owner, or do you put it in your pocket?
Yeah, were you trying to take it?
Like, what's the next step?
I've had the situation very much like that, where I've seen people just like, oh shit, look, and spinning the HD or the Van Gen clamp, the Vibrant clamp, and then I've also had someone unhook and then reclamp, I think twice before I got to them, the Wiggins. So they must have already known what a Wiggins is, because a Wiggins is like 4 units that come together. So they were doing it one-handed. and they were click, undo, click, and that's when I got to them. And maybe, maybe I have a certain look on my face when I get to a certain thing, but I'm lucky that I haven't had, in these situations I'm just describing here, I haven't had somebody try to reverse and give me attitude, because that, I don't think that would end very well. I have one situation that comes to mind where I saw a full group of people, group being like four, and I mean the group had like seven or eight, but four full separate individuals, four human beings, were leaning against one of my cars, and that scenario did not go very well. And because of how it didn't go very well, I'll leave the details out. But I'm one of those people where I believe there should be consequences. So when I went and addressed it, they either already had a whole level of confrontational energy,
like
that was just waiting, or they just took whatever they got from me, whether because they don't know why, because they're oblivious, or they don't care, and they matched it tenfold, and then I match it back, and the whole situation became very bad. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I don't regret that shit at all. It's not. I'm not over here trying to be all proud of the fact that there are situations like that, but I believe that there should be consequences to actions, right? And if you try to tell somebody, and they want to match the energy, then it really in that moment becomes a matter of who has more will and more time.
Yeah.
And that can go very, very badly if you're a non-confrontational, non-physical person. So, anyways, whether it be, hey, look, paint, or carbon fiber, or I want to sit in this car,
or I need a place to lean against,
or put my physical belongings, or sit down on. Have you guys experienced any of that? And I guess one of the last questions is where do you draw the line? Like, for example, Ryan's first story is one version, but we all have the one where somebody's just too close. So, are you in the wrong for getting upset because that person is just too close? Because they haven't actually done anything yet. But yet, also, are you one of those people that feels what we're talking about, where just seeing a person's physical body like being millimeters away from your car, it already is triggering you, even though there hasn't been any physical contact? I want to know if you're just like, well, no, I mean, they shouldn't be that close, but you can't say anything because they haven't done anything. If that's how you feel about it, say that.
Are you waiting until something does happen?
Does it have to actually happen?
Or are you the type where it actually, you're going to wait until it happens, or you're going to try to stop something prior to something that could happen?
Because my question for you guys is, if you're like, well, yeah, they shouldn't be that close, but they haven't done anything, so you really can't say anything, I'm not even mad at that. I actually totally get it. But my next question would be, so if you happen to witness it, because that's only if you witness it. What if you don't witness it, and at the end of that event or gathering or wherever you are, now you see it and you're like, I remember that's exactly where this person or these people were, but now you definitely can't prove that they did it, and you might never see them again. So now, do you say, I should have said something? So I just want to know. I don't believe there's necessarily a right or a wrong here. But, Ryan and I, as much as we're car people, and all of us are car people, we're not like hard-nosed, the way we see it is the way it is. We like want to know, right? Like, were we in the wrong for addressing situations, whether assertively or aggressively? Or do you all watching, are you just like, fuck that, say something, right? I just want to know. Let us know what you guys think. Tell us your situations in the comments, because we're interested. And how did you handle it? So don't just say what happened. How did you handle it? And do you wish you handled it differently, whether it was yesterday or 10 years ago?
Right.
Because
I've had plenty of situations where I wish I handled different.
Okay.
But then there's other situations, like my first long story.
Yeah.
where I don't think that I could have really done anything different.
Differently, yeah.
It was just bad
It was
going
bad.
in, and it was bad at the end, and it was bad during, and it was just a bad scene.
It was, but we got out of there. They made space, and we got the S2000 out of there without having to fight a bunch of apparently famous teeny boppers. That situation, it was a very interesting thing. But if for the people who invited us, it was a learning experience. It was very interesting. We appreciate the hospitality. We'll do an episode later about things like that, but it's not to put down that event. It's just the bad apples, if you will, or the people that just don't seem to have a regard for other people's things.
Yep.
In any context, automotive or otherwise. So
Yeah.
I just want to know what you guys think. So thank you guys for watching and listening and supporting. We don't have anything out right now, but there are some of the refrigerator and toolbox magnets left with the Car Talk logo, a couple of keychains and decals. Just comment below if you would like any of those items, and we'll set you up as a way for you to have something to utilize and to support Car Talk and keep us having these community conversations. So we appreciate you guys, and Ryan?
I think that wraps it up.
There it is.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you on the next one.